Commander Hyunwoo Park looked out the observation deck of Kepler Station and smiled. The stars looked different here in the Tau Ceti system. Brighter somehow. 3 years ago, he never imagined he would be standing on humanity's first diplomatic outpost in alien space, watching alien ships dock peacefully with human vessels. The Villani had changed everything for Earth. When their first ship appeared in the solar system 5 years ago, panic spread across every government. The world held its breath, waiting for invasion or destruction. Instead, the silicon-based beings came with gifts. They shared terraforming technology that could turn dead rocks into garden worlds. They offered medical knowledge that cured diseases humanity had fought for centuries. Most importantly, they offered friendship. Dr. Sojin Kim walked up beside him holding a datapad. Her face showed excitement mixed with exhaustion. She had been working 16-hour days in the research lab with Morthak, the lead Villani scientist. "The protein synthesis is working perfectly," she said. "Morthak believes we can have the treatment ready for both species within 6 months. This could eliminate genetic disorders for humans and structural decay for the Villani." Hyunwoo nodded. The cooperation between their species had produced miracles. Human creativity combined with Villani patience and precision created solutions neither could achieve alone. Their research station orbiting the Villani homeworld of the SciFiPrime had become a symbol of what different species could accomplish together. "Any word from the Galactic Council?" Sojin asked. Hyunwoo's smile faded. The Council had been sending messages for weeks demanding to inspect their research. The Council claimed they needed to ensure no dangerous weapons were being developed. But Hyunwoo had read the reports from other species. The Council did not trust cooperation between different races. They preferred to keep everyone separate and weak. "They arrive tomorrow," he said. 3 dreadnoughts and an inspection team. Sojin frowned. "Why do they need 3 warships for a scientific inspection?" Before Hyunwoo could answer, his communication device buzzed. The message came from Admiral Chen on Earth. Council fleet larger than reported. 15 ships total, including planet killers. "Be careful." Hyunwoo felt cold fear in his stomach. Planet killers were weapons that could destroy entire worlds. No inspection team needed that kind of firepower. The next morning, the Council fleet emerged from hyperspace like angry metal monsters. Their ships were massive dark gray vessels covered in weapon ports and armor plating. The largest ship, the Judgment of Worlds, was 3 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to reduce a moon to dust. Council Arbiter Velhazak came aboard Kepler Station with an armed escort. The reptilian alien wore ceremonial robes that could not hide the battle scars covering his scaled skin. His yellow eyes showed no warmth as he reviewed the research data. "These biological experiments are dangerous," Velhazak declared. "The Council has evidence that the Villani are developing weapons with human assistance." Hyunwoo stepped forward. "That's impossible. We've documented every experiment. Everything we do here is medical research to help both our species." Sojin activated her holographic display. "Look at the data yourself. We're synthesizing proteins to repair genetic damage. There are no weapons here." Velhazak barely glanced at the evidence. "The Council has made its decision. The Villani represent a threat to galactic security. They must be eliminated." "Eliminated?" Hyunwoo could not believe what he heard. "You're talking about genocide. 3 billion innocent beings live on that planet. The Council protects the galaxy from dangerous species," Velhazak said coldly. "Sometimes protection requires difficult choices." Hyunwoo realized this had nothing to do with weapons research. The Council feared what humans and Villani could become working together. They saw cooperation as a threat to their control. "I won't let you do this," Hyunwoo said. "Earth will not stand by while you murder our allies." Velhazak laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. "Earth? Your entire fleet consists of exploration ships and cargo haulers. You have no weapons that could threaten a Council patrol boat, much less our dreadnoughts." It was true. Earth had focused on peaceful exploration and trade. Human ships carried scientific equipment and terraforming tools, not weapons. The small escort fleet protecting Kepler Station had light defensive guns that could barely scratch the Council's armor. Velhazak returned to his ship. Within an hour, the Council fleet moved toward the SciFiPrime. Hyunwoo watched helplessly as his tiny escort fleet followed at a distance. He had 6 ships against 15 Council dreadnoughts. It would not be a battle, it would be a slaughter. The Villani knew what was coming. Their peaceful nature meant they had no military fleet, only civilian ships designed for research and exploration. Some tried to evacuate, but there was nowhere to run. The council ship surrounded the planet like a metal net. Morthak contacted the research station one final time. His crystalline voice sounded sad but calm. "Dr. Kim, my friend, please tell your people what happened here. Tell them the council fears what we could become together. Our species achieved more in 5 years of cooperation than either accomplished in centuries alone. They cannot allow that to continue. Morthak, please get to a ship. Try to escape," Sojin pleaded. "There is no escape, but our work will survive. I have transmitted all our research to your databases. Someday, perhaps other species will finish what we started." The Council's planet-killer weapons charged with a low humming sound that vibrated through space itself. Massive energy beams lanced down from orbit, boring through HFY's crust. The planet's surface began to crack and glow as its core was destabilized. Hyunwoo watched in horror as continents broke apart and oceans boiled away. 3 billion Vellani died in less than 10 minutes as their homeworld became a ball of molten rock. The Council ships methodically hunted down every escape pod and refugee vessel, leaving no survivors. Sojin collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She had lost not just a research partner, but a dear friend. The gentle being who had patiently taught her about Vellani biology was gone forever, along with his entire species. Belhazak's final message came through on all frequencies. "Let this be a lesson to any species that considers dangerous cooperation. The Council maintains order in the galaxy. Defy us and share the fate of SciFiPrime." As the Council fleet departed, Hyunwoo made a promise to himself and to the memory of their murdered friends. Earth would never again be helpless while innocents died. Someday, somehow, the Vellani would be avenged. The long journey back to Earth gave him time to think. Humanity had spent decades dreaming of peaceful exploration and cooperation with alien species. Those dreams died with SciFiPrime. Now Earth needed new dreams. Darker dreams of weapons and warships and the strength to protect what they loved. Behind them, the molten remains of SciFiPrime continued to glow like an angry red eye, a reminder of the price of weakness in a cruel galaxy. Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun Cho stared at the holographic display in the war room beneath Geneva. The images showed the destruction of SciFiPrime over and over again. 3 months had passed since the massacre, but the pain felt as fresh as ever. Every time he watched the planet die, his anger grew stronger. President Mi-young Lee entered the room with her security detail. Her face looked older than it had 3 months ago. Leading humanity through its first interstellar crisis had aged her years and weeks. "The Assembly has voted," she announced. "Unanimous approval for the Retribution Protocol. Every nation on Earth is contributing resources. We're converting our entire industrial base for military production." Jae-hyun nodded grimly. The Retribution Protocol represented the biggest change in human history since the Industrial Revolution. Every factory that once built terraforming equipment would now produce weapons. Every shipyard that constructed exploration vessels would create warships. Earth's massive mining operations on asteroids and moons would feed an endless hunger for military materials. "How long until we have a real fleet?" Mi-young asked. "Captain Kang estimates 18 months for the first squadron of proper warships," Jae-hyun replied. "But we're not starting from zero. Our industrial capacity is actually greater than the Council realizes. We just never used it for warfare before." Captain Dongmin Kang walked up to join them. His engineering background made him the perfect choice to oversee humanity's military transformation. In his hands, he carried data pads filled with ship designs and production schedules. "The factories are retooling faster than expected," Dongmin reported. "Turns out that building massive terraforming processors requires many of the same techniques as building weapon systems. We're just changing what goes inside the hull." Dr. Yejin Han burst into the room, her eyes bright with excitement. As Sojin Kim's former student, she had inherited all the research data from the SciFiPrime project. For 3 months, she had been working to understand Vellani technology. "I've had a breakthrough," she announced. "The Vellani neural networks can be adapted into quantum computing cores. These cores can process information thousands of times faster than anything the Council uses. Their ships are powerful but slow-thinking. Ours will be intelligent." She activated a holographic display showing a Vellani silicon brain structure next to a human computer design. "By combining their biological computing with our digital systems, we can create artificial intelligence that thinks like both species working together." Just as Morthok intended. Jae-hyun leaned forward with interest.
Intelligent ships?
What does that mean in practical terms? It means our vessels can react to threats before human pilots even see them coming, Yejin explained. They can coordinate attacks across entire fleets without radio communication. They can adapt their tactics in real time based on enemy behavior. We're not just building bigger guns, we're building smarter wars. Engineer Taewon Lim joined the meeting via hologram from the Luna shipyards. Behind him, massive construction frames were taking shape around the first new warships. The vessels looked different from traditional human design, sleeker and more aggressive. The Vengeance-class dreadnoughts are coming along well, Taewon reported. We've incorporated every lesson learned from studying Council ship weaknesses. They build big and slow, designed to intimidate and overpower through brute force. We're building fast and deadly. The holographic display changed to show the new ship design. Unlike the Council's massive rectangular dreadnoughts, human warships were built like spears pointed at their enemies' hearts. Every line was designed for speed and stealth. How do they compare to Council ships? Mi-young asked. A single Vengeance class can outrun anything the Council has, Taewon explained. Our antimatter engines give us twice their speed. Our weapons use concentrated energy beams that can punch through their armor like paper. Most importantly, we can strike and disappear before they can respond. Intelligence Officer Hyo-rin Song materialized on another hologram from her secret location in Council space. For 2 months, she had been gathering information while posing as a traitor from a neutral species. I've confirmed our suspicions about why they destroyed SciFiPrime, she reported. It wasn't about weapons research. Council archives show they were terrified of human-Volani cooperation. Our combined technology was advancing too quickly. They saw it as an existential threat to their 1,000-year dominance. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Council had committed genocide not because the Volani were dangerous, but because they were helpful. They had murdered an entire species to prevent them from making humanity too powerful. There's more, Hyo-rin continued. The Council isn't as unified as they pretend. Many member species are held in line through fear and intimidation. The Cathera insectoids are basically slaves. The Osmani's ocean worlds have been strip-mined. If we can prove the Council can be defeated, others might join us. Jae-hyun studied the tactical displays. Earth's transformation was happening faster than anyone had dared hope. Human ingenuity and industrial capacity, focused by righteous anger, was creating miracles. But they needed time, and the Council would not wait forever. We need to start smaller operations, he decided. Hit their supply lines, their isolated outposts. Make them think they're facing pirates or terrorists. Keep them confused while we build our real strength. Dr. Yejin Han volunteered her latest creation. The first Thesera-class AI cores are ready for installation. I've managed to preserve some consciousness patterns from the final. Transmissions from SciFiPrime. Morthek's digital ghost will help guide our tactical systems. The idea sent chills through everyone present. They would be fighting alongside the electronic spirits of their murdered friends. The Volani would get their chance for revenge after all. President Mi-young Lee stood up to address the room. 3 months ago, we were explorers and dreamers. We wanted to spread peace and cooperation across the galaxy. The Council taught us that the universe doesn't reward the peaceful. It rewards the strong. She looked at each person in turn. We will become strong. Strong enough to protect what we love. Strong enough to make the Council pay for their crimes. Strong enough to ensure no other species suffers what the Volani suffered. Captain Dongmin Kang nodded grimly. The first prototype ships will be ready for trials in 6 weeks. Small fast raiders armed with the latest weapons. We can start testing Council defenses while the main fleet constructs. Do it, Jae-hyun ordered. Begin the shadow war. Let them wonder what's hunting them in the dark between stars. By the time they realize it's us, it will be too late. As the meeting ended, Jae-hyun remained behind to study the tactical displays. Earth's industrial cities were working around the clock. Millions of humans had volunteered to work in the weapons factories. Children learned mathematics by calculating missile trajectories. The entire planet had united behind a single goal: vengeance for SciFiPrime. The gentle species that had welcomed humanity to the galaxy was gone forever. But their memory would live on in the quantum cores of human warships. Soon, very soon, the Council would learn that they had made the worst mistake in galactic history. They had turned humanity's greatest friends into their most dangerous enemies. Outside the war room windows, the lights of Geneva sparkled like stars. But Jae-hyun's mind was on different stars, the ones that would soon burn with the fire of human retribution. Commodore Jun Hoseo checked his instruments one final time before giving the attack order. His ship, the Righteous Fury, hung invisible in the darkness between stars. Around him, 5 other human vessels waited in perfect silence. They had been hunting Council supply convoys for 3 months. And tonight they had found the biggest prize yet. The Council ammunition depot at Kepler 442 stretched across 3 asteroids, storing enough weapons to arm a dozen dreadnoughts. More importantly, it was lightly defended. The Council still believed they were dealing with random pirate attacks, not a coordinated military campaign. Target acquired, reported Navigation Officer Da-Yun Ryu from her position at the tactical station. 2 patrol boats and a command station. No heavy weapons detected. Jun-ho smiled grimly. The Council's arrogance was their greatest weakness. They could not imagine that primitive Earth had built ships capable of threatening their mighty empire. That blindness would cost them dearly. All ships execute attack pattern Morthax 7, he ordered. The human ships dropped their stealth fields and struck like lightning bolts from the void. Their antimatter torpedoes reached the depot before the Council sensors even registered the attack. In less than 30 seconds, 3 asteroid bases erupted in brilliant explosions that lit up the entire star system. The Council patrol boats tried to respond, but they were designed for intimidating civilian vessels, not fighting military strikes. Their heavy armor meant nothing against human energy, weapons that could slice through hull metal, like hot knives through butter. Depot destroyed, reported Weapons Officer Shung Ho Nam. No Council survivors detected. We're clear for extraction. As quickly as they had appeared, the human ships vanished back into hyperspace, leaving only debris and radiation behind. By the time Council reinforcements arrived, the attackers were light years away. Commander Da-Yun Ryu piloted her stealth destroyer Silent Thunder through the outer edges of the Rigel system. Her mission was different from Junho's raids against supply lines. She hunted bigger prey, Council command centers and communication hubs. The Rigel command station coordinated Council military operations across 15 star systems. Destroying it would blind their fleet operations for weeks, but the station was heavily defended by automated weapon platforms and energy shields. Da-Yun had spent days studying the station's defensive patterns. The Council relied on their technology being superior to any possible threat. Their security systems were designed to stop large fleets, not single ships using advanced stealth technology. The Sarah 7, what's our insertion window? She asked her ship's AI core. The artificial intelligence responded in Morthak's familiar crystalline voice. The digital ghost of the Villani scientist had volunteered to guide human operations, seeking justice for his murdered people. Defensive rotation creates a 17-second gap every 4 hours, the AI reported. Shield harmonics show weakness in the lower frequency spectrum. I calculate a 73% probability of successful penetration. Da-Yun nodded. Those were good odds for a mission this dangerous. She waited for the perfect moment, then guided Silent Thunder through the narrow gap in the station's defenses. Her ship's experimental cloaking system, based on Villani's shield technology, made her invisible to Council sensors. Inside the station's perimeter, Da-Yun launched her attack. Instead of trying to destroy the massive structure, she targeted its quantum communication arrays. The special torpedoes she carried were designed by Dr. Ye-jin Hunt to create electromagnetic pulses that would fry enemy electronics without harming the crew. The communication towers exploded in showers of sparks and broken metal. Within minutes, the command station lost contact with every Council fleet in the sector. Ships that had been coordinating attacks across multiple star systems suddenly found themselves blind and isolated. Da-Yun escaped before the station's crew realized what had happened. Her mission report would bring joy to human command. The Council's greatest military asset in the region had been neutralized without firing a single shot at human forces. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Earth's master spy Woo Jin-yoon continued his most dangerous mission. Disguised as a traitor from a neutral species, he moved through Council space gathering intelligence and making contact with oppressed peoples. The Kithara fascinated him. The insectoid species possessed incredible intelligence and natural engineering abilities, but the Council had reduced them to slave labor. They built the Council's greatest ships and weapons, then watched helplessly as those same tools were used to enslave other species. "The humans fight the Council?" asked Zichthal, a Kythera engineer who worked on dreadnought construction. They met in secret within the industrial complex where Zichthal was forced to work 18-hour shifts building weapons for his oppressors. "We fight," Wu Jin confirmed. "We lost friends to Council genocide. Now we seek justice." Zicthal's compound eyes gleamed with something that might have been hope. "My people built the ships that destroyed your allies. We had no choice, but we remember shame. If humans can truly fight Council, perhaps freedom is possible." Wu Jin showed him holographic recordings of the recent raids. Council supply depots burning, communication stations going dark, patrol fleets limping home with heavy damage. The evidence proved that someone was successfully striking back against the supposedly invincible empire. "How can we help?" Zichthal asked. "Give us information," Wu Jin replied. "Ship movements, weapon capabilities, defensive weaknesses. Help us fight smarter, and we'll help you win freedom." The Kythera engineer agreed immediately. Within days, a network of Kythera informants was feeding data to human intelligence. Every ship they built came with detailed specifications sent secretly to Earth. Every Council battle plan was copied and transmitted to human forces. The Osmani proved even more eager to help. The aquatic species had watched their beautiful ocean worlds turned into strip mines and toxic waste dumps. Council terraforming had poisoned their seas and killed billions of their people. They wanted revenge almost as badly as humans did. Dr. Yejin Han worked 18-hour days in her laboratory beneath the Seoul Industrial Complex. Her latest project was the most ambitious yet, upgrading the Thesara-class AI cores with tactical data from every successful human raid. "The patterns are becoming clear," she reported to Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun Cho during their weekly meeting. Council forces respond the same way to every attack. They're locked into 1,000-year-old tactical doctrines that assume their enemies will fight according to traditional rules. She displayed holographic recordings of recent battles. They expect large fleet engagements with lots of warning and formal challenges. "Our hit-and-run tactics confuse them completely. They keep sending heavier forces to guard supply lines, but we just hit different targets." Jae-hyun studied the data with satisfaction. "How long before they realize what they're really fighting?" "Council Admiral Zethmoran is starting to ask questions," Yejin admitted. "Intelligence reports suggest he's pushing for larger search operations. Eventually, they'll connect the attacks to Earth." "Let them," Jae-hyun replied. "By the time they figure it out, our main battle fleet will be ready." "How many Vengeance-class ships are operational?" 47 and counting, reported Captain Dongmin Kang. "Production rate is increasing every week. Our industrial capacity has exceeded all projections. Humanity is really good at building things when we're properly motivated. The motivation was never far from anyone's mind. In every human city, monuments to the Villani reminded people why they work so hard. The gentle beings who had shared their knowledge and friendship would never be forgotten. Their deaths would be avenged." Commander Junho Seo led another raid against a Council fuel depot in the Wolf 359 system. This time, his squadron included 8 ships armed with the latest weapons and guided by advanced AI cores. The attack lasted 4 minutes and left nothing but wreckage behind. As his ships prepared to jump to hyperspace, Junho received an encrypted message from an unexpected source. A group of Council officers wanted to defect to the human side. They were tired of serving a government that committed genocide and oppressed innocent species. The Shadow War was expanding beyond anything Earth had originally planned. What started as revenge for SciFiPrime was becoming a galaxy-wide rebellion against tyranny. Soon, very soon, the Council would face the consequences of their crimes against humanity and their allies. The attack came without warning on a peaceful Tuesday morning. Captain Mina Park was reviewing supply manifests aboard the civilian transport New Horizon when the Council ships dropped out of hyperspace around the Alpha Centauri colony ship. Convoy 15 Council dreadnoughts surrounded the defenseless, civilian vessels like wolves circling sheep. The transport ships carried 50,000 human colonists heading to establish a new settlement on Proxima Centauri B. They had no weapons, no shields, no way to fight back against military warships. Council Admiral Crickstein broadcast his message on all frequencies. "Human vessels, you are supporting terrorist activities against lawful Council authority. By order of the Galactic Council, you are sentenced to destruction." Mina activated her emergency beacon, but she knew help would come too late. The nearest human military force was days away. She watched helplessly as Council weapons charged with deadly energy, preparing to murder 50,000 innocent people. The massacre lasted 6 minutes. Council energy beams tore through the colony ships like they were made of paper. Escape pods launched desperately, but the Council ships hunted them down methodically. When the slaughter ended, debris and bodies drifted in space where humans had dreamed of building new homes among the stars. Only one ship survived. Mina's transport had been protected by the bulk of a larger colony vessel. She and 12 other survivors watched in horror as their friends and families died around them. Then she sent a message that would change the course of galactic history. This is Captain Mina Park of the transport New Horizon. The Council has murdered 50,000 civilian colonists in the Alpha Centauri system. They killed children. They killed families. They killed people whose only crime was wanting to build a better life among the stars. Earth must know what happened here. The message reached Earth 17 hours later. Within minutes, every news network was broadcasting images of the destroyed colony ships. The peaceful civilian vessels had been burned and broken like toys in the hands of an angry child. Public outrage exploded across every human world. Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun Cho stood before the United Earth Assembly and made the announcement the galaxy had been waiting to hear. The Council has forced our hand. They have attacked innocent civilians. The time for shadow wars is over. Today we reveal our true strength. President Mi-young Lee signed the declaration that would shock the galaxy. Earth hereby declares the existence of the United Earth Navy. We call upon all free species to join us in resisting Council tyranny. The age of their unopposed dominance ends now. The first human battle fleet emerged from the Sol system like an iron storm given form. 200 Vengeance-class dreadnoughts led the way, their sleek hulls bristling with antimatter weapons and quantum shields. Behind them came 800 escort vessels, destroyers, cruisers, and support ships built in the secret shipyards of Luna, Mars, and the asteroid belt. The galaxy watched in amazement as humanity revealed what they had built in 18 months of total war production. Every intelligence agency had estimated Earth's industrial capacity wrong. The species that gave the galaxy terraforming technology and medical breakthroughs had turned that same ingenuity toward warfare. Captain Chung Ho Nam commanded the flagship Morthax Vengeance, the most advanced warship ever built. His bridge crew included both human officers and Thesara-class AI cores, containing the digital consciousness of murdered Volani scientists. Ancient friends would fight together one last time. Fleet Admiral, we have Council forces moving to intercept, reported Navigation Officer Yuri Shin. Marshal Crixthane has assembled 150 dreadnoughts at Proxima Conflux. He's broadcasting challenges for formal battle. Jae-hyun smiled coldly. The Council still doesn't understand what they're facing. They think this will be like their old wars with formal rules and predictable tactics. Set course for Proxima Conflux. It's time to educate them. The Battle of Proxima Conflux became the most analyzed military engagement in galactic history. Council Marshal Crixthane had arranged his forces in the traditional formation that had dominated space warfare for 1,000 years. Massive dreadnoughts formed a wall of armor and weapons, designed to overwhelm enemies through sheer firepower. Human tactics were completely different. Instead of forming battle lines, the Earth fleet scattered into small attack groups that swarmed around the Council formation, like angry insects. Each human ship moved 3 times faster than anything the Council possessed, striking and vanishing before return fire could be aimed. All ships, execute attack pattern SciFiPrime, Jae-hyun ordered. The irony was intentional. The battle plan was named after the world the Council had destroyed, and it would be their undoing. Human ships dove through gaps in the Council formation, launching antimatter torpedoes that could crack dreadnought armor like eggshells. Captain Chung Ho Nam led his ship straight toward the Council flagship. Crixthane's massive vessel Galactic Supremacy was twice as large as any human ship, covered in enough weapons to level a city. But size meant nothing against superior technology and tactics. Morthax Vengeance danced around the lumbering dreadnought like a fighter plane attacking a flying fortress. Human energy weapons, guided by Volani artificial intelligence, found every weak point in the Council ship's defenses. Within minutes, the flagship was bleeding atmosphere and listing helplessly. Commander Yuri Shin commanded the fighter wing operations from her carrier vessel. Human pilots in AI-enhanced interceptors achieved impossible kill ratios against Council forces. The enemy fighters were built for intimidation rather than combat, and they shattered like glass against human precision and speed. Enemy formation is collapsing, reported Tactical Officer Min-Ho Park from the Fleet Command Center. Council ships are trying to retreat, but our speed advantage makes escape impossible. The battle raged for 3 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human technology, tactics, and determination overwhelmed the Council's numerical advantage. When the fighting ended, only 30 Council ships remained operational out of 150. The human fleet had lost exactly 0 vessels. Marshal Crixthane's final transmission came from his crippled flagship. Impossible. You are primitives. We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. How can you defeat our mighty fleets? Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun Cho responded personally. You made 2 mistakes, Marshal. First, you underestimated human industrial capacity and ingenuity. Second, you murdered our friends. Never threaten someone's family unless you're prepared for total war. As Council survivors limped away from the battle, Jae-hyun broadcast his message on all galactic frequencies. This is Fleet Admiral Cho of the United Earth Navy. Today you witness the birth of a new age. The Council's reign of terror ends now. We remember SciFiPrime. We remember Alpha Centauri. We are coming for you. The message reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. Oppressed species that had suffered under Council rule for centuries suddenly saw hope. The invincible empire had been broken by a species they had dismissed as primitive explorers. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets as news of the victory spread. After months of secret preparation and shadow warfare, humanity had finally struck back in the open. The Villani were one step closer to being avenged, but Jae-hyun knew this was only the beginning. The Council still commanded thousands of ships and controlled hundreds of worlds. The real war was just starting, and it would not end until justice was served for every crime the Council had committed. Dr. Ye-jin. Han monitored the battle from her laboratory on Earth. The Thessera-class AI cores had performed perfectly, processing battlefield information faster than any organic mind could follow. The digital ghosts of murdered Villani had guided human weapons to victory. Morthak would be proud, she whispered to the quantum computer cores. Your people's sacrifice was not in vain. Today, the galaxy saw what happens when you murder our friends. The response came in Morthak's familiar crystalline voice. The first step toward justice is complete, but many more battles await. The Council will not surrender easily. Ye-jin nodded. The path ahead would be long and bloody, but humanity had proven they could win. Now they just had to finish what the Council had started when they destroyed Thessera-Prime. The final battle would be fought at Nexus Prime, the Council's capital world. Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun Cho stood on the bridge of his flagship and studied the massive enemy fleet that waited for them. Every remaining Council ship in the galaxy had gathered here for the last stand. Over 500 dreadnoughts formed defensive rings around their homeworld like metal moons protecting a dying star. Beside him, Captain Bo-ram Young prepared for the most important mission of her career. She commanded the Thessera Memorial, the largest ship humanity had ever built. The massive battleship carried enough antimatter warheads to crack planets, but its real power lay in its crew. Every Thessera-class AI core contained the digital consciousness of a Villani who had died at Thessera-Prime. All fleet elements report. Ready for battle, announced Communications Officer Subin-O. 400 Vengeance-class dreadnoughts, 1,200 escort vessels, and allied forces from 15 liberated species. The largest space fleet in galactic history. Through the viewports, Jae-hyun could see ships from species that had joined the rebellion against Council tyranny. Cathara engineering vessels had been converted into deadly missile boats. Osmani waterships used their unique technology to phase through enemy shields. Even former Council species had switched sides when they saw that humanity could actually win. Council Supermarch Darkethon commanded the defense from his fortress ship Eternal Dominion. The massive vessel was 6 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to sterilize continents. Around it, orbital defense platforms and planetary shield, generators created layers of protection that had never been broken in 1,000 years of Council rule. Human fleet, you face the combined might of galactic civilization, Darkathon broadcast. Surrender now and we will grant you quick deaths. Continue this madness, and we will make your entire species extinct. Jae-hyun responded with cold fury. You murdered 3 billion innocent Vellani. You slaughtered 50,000 human civilians. You have oppressed countless species for centuries. Today, your crimes end forever. The battle began with a massive exchange of long-range fire. Council planetary weapons launched energy beams that could punch holes through moons. Human ships scattered and weaved between the massive blasts, their superior speed and artificial intelligence allowing them to avoid destruction by milliseconds. Captain Min-ho Park led the first wave of attackers toward the Council defensive lines. He was the son of Commander Hyunwoo Park, who had watched helplessly as the SciFiPrime burned. Today he would finish what his father had started. Attack formation Vellani Honor. Min-ho ordered his squadron. Make them pay for every innocent life they took. Human ships dove through the Council formation like arrows shot from an angry god's bow. Their antimatter torpedoes found gaps in the enemy's shields and exploded with the fury of dying stars. Council dreadnoughts that had dominated the galaxy for centuries cracked open like broken eggs. The Thesara Memorial moved through the battle like a ghost ship carrying the souls of the dead. Captain Boram Jung worked alongside the AI consciousness of Morthak himself as they targeted the Council command vessels. The enemy flagship is attempting to activate some kind of superweapon, reported Morthak's digital voice. I detect massive energy buildup in the planet's core. They plan to destroy the entire system rather than face defeat. Boram felt ice in her veins. A planet-killer weapon that could destroy entire star systems would murder billions of innocent beings on nearby worlds. The Council would rather commit the greatest genocide in history than admit they had lost. Dr. Han, we need you to stop that weapon, Jae-hyun ordered over the communication link to Earth. Back on Earth, Dr. Yejin Han worked frantically with her team of Thesera-class AI cores. The digital consciousnesses of murdered Vellani scientists pooled their knowledge to find a solution to the impossible problem. The weapon uses quantum field manipulation to destabilize stellar cores, reported the AI collective. But the control systems are vulnerable to the same hacking techniques we used against their communication networks. Yejin's fingers flew over her controls as she guided quantum viruses through the enemy computer systems. She had to penetrate 7 layers of security while the weapon charged toward activation. One mistake would doom every living thing within 50 light-years. Meanwhile, the space battle raged with desperate fury. Human boarding parties, led by Captain Woo Jin-yoon, captured Council command ships and took their leaders prisoner for war crimes trials. The former spy had become a master of ship-to-ship combat, using stealth and surprise to overcome numerically superior forces. Admiral Su Bin-oh coordinated the liberation of Nexus Prime's orbital cities. Millions of alien civilians had been trapped on the Council capital, forced to work in weapons factories and military bases. Human forces fought street by street to free them from their oppressors. The tide of battle turned when Allied forces from liberated species joined the final assault. Cathara engineers used their knowledge of Council ship construction to target critical weaknesses. Osmani forces phased through supposedly impenetrable shields. Former Council species turned their own weapons against their former masters. Enemy fleet is breaking apart, reported Navigation Officer Yuri Shin. Council ships are surrendering or trying to flee. Only the Central Command Group is still fighting, but the greatest danger still remained. Deep beneath Nexus Prime's surface, the Doomsday weapon continued charging toward activation. Dr. Yejin Han had penetrated 6 layers of security, but the final firewall required something she didn't: have the personal authorization codes of the Council leadership. The solution came from an unexpected source. Captured Council officers, disgusted by their leaders' willingness to commit universal genocide, provided their access codes. Even the enemy could not stomach the murder of entire star systems. I'm in, Yejin announced. Weapon systems are shutting down. The planet is safe. With their ultimate weapon neutralized, the remaining Council forces collapsed like a house built on sand. Supreme Arch Darkethon's flagship found itself surrounded by human ships and abandoned by his own allies. This is Admiral Jae-hyun Cho of the United Earth Navy. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Your war crimes will be judged by the species you have oppressed. Darkethon's response came through gritted teeth. The Council has ruled for 1,000 years. We will not bow to primitive mammals who learned to fly between stars only yesterday. Your reign ends today, Jaehyun replied. Surrender, or join your victims in death. The final moments of the battle saw Darkethon's flagship disabled by concentrated human fire. The massive vessel, symbol of Council dominance for centuries, drifted powerless in space as boarding parties prepared to take it. When the fighting ended, over 400 Council ships had been destroyed or captured. The survivors surrendered, unconditionally, their leaders taken into custody for crimes against sapient life. The 1,000-year empire that had murdered the Vellani and countless other species was finally dead. Admiral Subin oversaw the establishment of the new Galactic Assembly in the ruins of the old Council chambers. Representatives from every liberated species worked together to create a democratic government based on cooperation rather than domination. The first act of the new government was to establish memorial worlds for every species the Council had murdered. SciFiPrime's moon was restored and turned into a garden dedicated to Vellani memory. Digital consciousness cores allowed the ghosts of murdered beings to serve as advisors and teachers in the new age. Commander Hyunwoo Park, now promoted to admiral, stood before the memorial on SciFiPrime's restored moon. Behind him, representatives from hundreds of species had gathered to honor the dead and celebrate their liberation. We promised we would remember, he said to the assembled crowd. We promised we would return. Today our friends can rest in peace knowing that justice has been served and the galaxy is finally free. The ceremony concluded with the lighting of the eternal flame, a beacon that would shine across the galaxy as a reminder that genocide would never again go unpunished. The flame was tended by both human guardians and Thessera-class AI cores, ensuring that the memory of the murdered would live forever. Dr. Ye Jin Han watched the ceremony from her laboratory on Earth, surrounded by the quantum computer cores that housed the consciousness of every Vellani scientist who had died at SciFiPrime. Their digital voices sang together in harmony, a song of triumph over the darkness that had tried to destroy them. It is finished, whispered Morthak's familiar voice. Our species did not die in vain. Through cooperation with humanity, we achieved something neither could accomplish alone: the liberation of the galaxy from tyranny. As the memorial flame blazed across space, visible from every world in the sector, the galaxy began its healing. The age of fear and oppression was over. The age of cooperation and justice had begun. And in the quantum cores of human ships, the digital spirits of murdered friends stood watch to ensure that such darkness would never rise again.